Hi, I'm Vinny, and this is Vinny's View. Welcome to the Minivan Studio. Back here again, I'm reviewing a movie called Funny People. It's the latest movie by Judd Apatow, who gave us movies like The 40-Year-Old Virgin and Knocked Up. This is his latest movie. It's starring Adam Sandler as a comedian named George Simmons, who is a kind of a former stand-up comedian, now, you know, a really famous, unbelievably famous and wealthy movie actor, who does, you know, maybe movies kind of like that mirror Adam Sandler's movies, you know, a little bit silly, a little over the top, maybe a combination of kind of what Eddie Murphy's doing with these kid comedies, but, you know, very famous, very, maybe not so fulfilling comedies, but it's made him a ton of money. And George finds out that he is actually dying, and he has a terrible, almost incurable disease, and it forces him to sort of reassess his life a little bit. And he's, you know, while gaining this incredible success, he doesn't really have friends. He doesn't really have a girlfriend. He's just pretty much a one-night stand for every girl in Hollywood that you know, he can lay his hands on. Doesn't have, like I said, didn't have a lot of friends. Has a lot of acquaintances in the acting business and in the stand-up comedy business, but they're really not friends. And, you know, I guess this forces him to sort of reassess his life and where he's going and what's happening. So really, he takes the opportunity to kind of go back to his roots and start doing stand-up. Realizes, you know what, you can't just jump into it. He's not that great at it anymore. So he hooks up with Seth Rogen's character, whose name is Ira. He sees him at a comedy club, and, you know, he kind of asks him to start writing some jokes for him, writing some routines, and they actually sort of he becomes an employee of his, becomes his sort of assistant. Ira does, and you know, and in a way, sort of befriends him. I don't think George really wants to admit it, but they sort of do become friends. And, you know, it's really a story about the two of them becoming friends, about George, you know, finding his way through life and sort of finding out what he's been missing in life in a lot of ways. And one of the things he's missing is a woman that he loves, and he had a woman that he loved 12 years ago. And, you know, this woman, his name is Laura, and she's played by Leslie Mann, who's actually Judd Apatow's real wife. Okay, beautiful actress, a wonderful, wonderful actress, and you can see why, you know, he's still thinking back to her, and she's really the only one that he loved. And, you know, he kind of gets back into her life a little bit, and they find out that they sort of, you know, still sort of love each other. And you know, it's really about discovering what he's missing, and, you know, what he's missed in his life, and you know, sort of finding it, you know, in a lot of ways. You know, it's funny about the movie. It's called Funny People, and you think, oh, it's funny people, and it's gonna be a real comedy. It's gonna be a laugh out loud comedy. You know, very much like, you know, 40-Year-Old Virgin, which was really funny. Knocked Up, maybe not quite as funny, but I still thought it was a very funny movie. You know, this movie Funny People, it's really more about the funny people, and maybe more the dark side of the funny people. And it's not as funny as those two movies I mentioned, but it gets a little more serious. It's a little more deep, and there's in a lot of ways, there's a lot of really touching scenes. There's a lot of you know, scenes that, you know, make you well up a little bit, and you know, put a lump in your throat. It's actually not a full-blown comedy like, you know, we were talking about the Hangover earlier in the year. That was just a full-blown laugh out loud comedy. This one is just a little more serious and a little more of a drama. You know, so the movie really is based around Adam Sandler. I gotta admit, I'm not really a huge Adam Sandler fan. I'm not like that big on the Happy Gilmore and the, you know, Dolly Madison, or not Dolly Madison. I'm not a big fan of Adam Sandler. There's a few things I've liked him in. In this movie, he really, you know, he plays it very serious, and, you know, he's still funny in the movie, but he plays it a lot more serious. And I actually think he was really good, and you know, really terrific at creating this character of George, and this sort of lonely comedian who, you know, gets a new lease on life and almost doesn't really know what to do with the new lease on life, because he's so internalized and so you know, sort of friendless, and really without any kind of relationship, and doesn't almost really know how to have a relationship. So, but I think Sandler was really terrific in this movie, and he really it was probably one of his best roles that I've seen him in. So, terrific job for Adam Sandler. You know, Seth Rogen is in this movie as well, and he was in Knocked Up, and he's been in a lot of the movies that Judd Apatow has been involved with. Pineapple Express, Judd Apatow was the producer on that, and I love Seth Rogen. Seth Rogen's very funny. I think what was nice about him in this movie, he got to show a lot more of his depth and his acting depth, and some more emotions, and he's just terrific. And I think he really help support, you know, the George Simmons character in a lot of ways, and kind of show him sort of a human side of humans. I mean, I'm not sure that Sandler's character was really very human. He was more of a, you know, this persona, and he bought into his persona on screen. But Seth Rogen did a terrific job, and he's very funny. He probably gets most of the laughs in this movie, and he was really good. And I really like Seth Rogen a lot. Earlier on, I mentioned Leslie Mann, and she plays the object of George's affection. And I really love her in any movie that she's been in, and she's just terrific in this movie. And again, you can really see why he's kind of fallen in love with her. But you know, her life has changed a lot. She's married now to Eric Bana. Her husband, his name is Clark, but Eric Bana plays the husband, and they have a happy life up in San Francisco. And you know, what she thinks is happy, but then it's, you know, she meets up with George again, and you know, it kind of throws a monkey wrench in it. And she does really a good job in this, and you know, there's some twists and turns towards the end, but you know, that whole part of the movie was really terrific and heartfelt, and you really felt like you could see that love that they still had between them, or thought they had between them. And you know, she did a terrific job, and not just because she's the director's wife, she's always good in anything that she's been in. You have a terrific supporting cast. You have Jonah Hill, who was in one of the funniest movies I've seen in a long time, which was Superbad, and Jonah Hill is always a great supporting character in any movie he's in. He's just really funny. You also have Jason Schwartzman. These guys both play Seth Rogen's buddies. They're actually his roommates, and you know, they're mildly more successful than the Seth Rogen character, and they never cease to remind him of that. In fact, the Jason Schwartzman character would leave his $25,000 check from his horrible sitcom on his pillow. There's a lot of funny bits like that, and you know, Jason Schwartzman we know from Rushmore, and brilliant in Rushmore, and he's just a terrific actor. So Schwartzman and Hill and Seth Rogen together as roommates, really a terrific trio there. And these guys, you know, give the movie terrific support, and they're really terrific, funny actors. So like I was saying before, this is a much more serious movie than you would expect from a Judd Apatow movie. I mean, it's very funny. There's a lot of, you know, good gross out jokes and a lot of funny things going on, but you really get to see the behind the scenes of stand-up comedy, and really kind of how rough it is. And I think it was still a funny movie, but it was definitely a little more on the serious side. So I really liked the movie, and it was a long movie. It was over 2 hours for a comedy. That's really long. But again, it was more of a dramedy. It was a little more drama to it. So, but I really did enjoy the movie, and it was really a very well-made movie. And you know, maybe this is where Judd Apatow's going now. I mean, maybe he wants to do things that are a little more serious. It was definitely had a lot of serious overtones in it. So I'm going to say this movie is seriously funny. Okay, seriously funny movie. Maybe a little more on the serious, but still funny. I would recommend it. Check it out for yourself. Let me know what you think, because it's a very different kind of a comedy. I really would really want to know what you guys think about this movie. So I say seriously funny. Okay? So I'm Vinny. That was Vinny's View. Got a few more movies coming up this summer, so check me out, okay? Thanks.